dads.
Anyone know where the kids are?
Nope.
All right, let's start with the most important thing. Snacks. I got applesauce pouches, Chewy bars.
Chewy bar.
You want one?
Yeah.
How's your dad game?
Set a new PR. Got a diaper done in under 10 seconds.
No way.
Hey, I heard there's a new guy coming tonight.
Yeah, I don't know about his dad card. Might not be legit. All right, so we're gonna get to the show and tell portion of our meeting. Anybody got anything to present?
I got something. Check it out, guys. It's the DV5000, the Daddy Vest 5000. Comes equipped with sunscreen, off, sucks, diaper, powder.
You know what you're missing? Butt wipes.
Hey, is this the meeting of the dads?
Are you even a dad yet?
Yeah. Here's my 2-month-old daughter right here.
He is a dad.
To join this crew, you gotta be trained up.
Are you ready for your training?
Done.
42 seconds? Are you even trying?
Come on, another rep. Let's go. 1. Not 1.
No, you're doing it all wrong. It's bounce, bounce, tap. Bounce, bounce, tap.
2. 3.
Bounce, bounce, tap. Bounce, bounce, tap.
So how many kids does your wife want to have?
Like 3 or 4, I think.
Oh yeah? You ready for that?
Bounce, bounce, tap.
Come on, pick it up. Your family needs to stop. Let's go. We're not even to the hill yet. Let's go.
There are a lot of ideas out there on how to become a good dad.
And we want to celebrate you.
For protecting, providing, and showing up for your family.
Happy Father's Day.
That was an awesome video. I just love that. That was good. So, and yeah, John, we just ordained him and did a child dedication. He even made the video. So how cool is that? So today on Father's Day, just so you know, if you did not register to win this axe, I would suggest you put your name over there in the bucket in the back. All you got to do is write your name on it. No phone number, no nothing. You must be present to win. So if you leave the service early, you know win. So I'm just saying, have a chance at winning this custom-made axe that was made just for you. So I'm giving one away at each service. And on Father's Day today, I'm speaking to men. Unashamed, unapologetically, I'm speaking to men. Speaking to men, whether you're older or younger, it doesn't make a difference. If you're a natural-born man, I'm speaking to you. Now, you're like, well, okay, I'm a woman, or why am I here? Here's why this is important to you. You need to know what a real man looks like. You need to know, if you're dating, what to look for in a man. If you're young and growing up, you need to know what to look for in an adult male. So when you pick a role model, you'll say, I want to be like that person. So it does very much pertain to you. So it pertains to all of us. Because our culture has this distorted picture of what a man is. If you watch any shows on television, they certainly don't portray men as strong, noble people. They portray it like Michael Scott in The Office, right? Hilarious show, but none of us would want to work for that idiot. Like, it'd be horrible. Or like Homer Simpson. I mean, the longest running, like people watch this, or Family Guy. We watch these shows and they don't depict what a real man looks like. So there's all kinds of confusion. We wonder, why are people protesting over wars and why are people so soft nowadays? It's because we are in a society, in a day and an age when men are confused about their own identity, how they're supposed to act, what they're supposed to look like, and what they're supposed to do. So I want to set the record straight and give you the 5 marks of a man that come right out of the book of Corinthians. So we're going to dive into that deep. And what our culture needs now is more men, real men. Not men who look like fairies, not men who love rainbows and unicorns. Not if you have little girls, you should play with them. I get that. But I'm just saying, like, I'm talking to the men. Because right now in our world, we have a lot of 40-year-old men that act like boys. And we have a lot of 12-year-old boys that think they're men. And they don't know what it's like to be a man. They're confused. And there's some women here, and I'm hoping not here, but there's some women who would say, I'm raising 2 boys and a girl, meaning their own husband that acts like a boy. Comes home, plays video games, has to get fed his macaroni and cheese at night. Like, there's a lot of men that still act like boys. And so if this is you, it's going to sting a little bit today. But I want to challenge you to be the man that God has called you to be. I also want to say that regardless of where you grew up or what has gone on in your past, this is a new day. We live also in a world where we are rewarded for being a victim. Everyone that we meet is a victim of something. Well, my dad never hugged me. My mom left me. Whatever. Someone opened the bathroom stall on me and I'm a victim forever. Like, we have so many victims in our society. You are responsible for your own life. You run your life. So regardless of what happened in the past, I'm not denying it. I'm not saying it was making light of it. I'm saying that from this day forward, you do have to take responsibility for your life. That includes me. You are responsible for your life. And for men, you are responsible for living your life in a godly way that honors God and helps other people. So my charge today is for you, and I'm going to give you a chance to actually take a charge at the end to man up and to be a real man. Being a man is defined more by strength of character than your clothes. It's defined by being a person of integrity and honesty. That's what it means to be a man. So here's some stats for you. Around 33% of children in America live in homes without the presence of their biological father. Again, I know that we fall into the national norm. That's about a third of the people here who are grew up, or are now raising kids without a father in the home. And again, we can't change that. I can't change where you've been. All I can say is that from this day forward, you do the best that you can. If you have kids that don't live in the house, you can still be the best father that you can to them. You just have to look at creative ways to do it. It doesn't mean that you should compromise being a man. It just means that you have to look at how you parent differently. Children in fatherless households are 4 times more likely to live in poverty, to be obese, to repeat a grade, drop out of school, have emotional problems, and struggle with depression. The one thing that most prison inmates have in common, regardless of race, religion, or socioeconomic background, is the lack of a father in the home. That's the single biggest unifier of every man who is in prison. It's growing up in a home without a father. But being a man is a high and spiritual calling that all men should strive to live out. Culture will not reward you for being a man. Culture says the opposite to men. Culture says, go with the flow. Just do what everyone else does. Have the same opinion as everyone else. And if you have a different opinion, you're going to get shunned and shamed and called all kinds of names and say that you're not loving and unkind. That's because culture doesn't even know what it means to be a man. And for that matter, culture doesn't know what it means to be a woman. The Apostle Paul digs into this. In 1 Corinthians 16, that's where we're going to be camped out today. And he really talks about what it means to be a man. And in this passage that we're speaking about, oftentimes when he writes his letter, he'll write a letter, address all the doctrinal side of things. And then at some point, at the end of his letter, typically he'll send out greetings to people, like very local greetings, like, hey, just want you to know, say hi to this person, that person. So in the end of this letter, in 1 Corinthians, he's speaking greetings to men. He wants to say to a shout out. So we know that he's speaking this last part to men. He's talking to men here. And that becomes very, very apparent. Now in Corinthians, back in the day, Corinth was a corrupt city. Corinth was one of the grossest, nasty cities of the day. They worshiped all these false idols, false gods. They worshiped sex and money. It was actually a lot like our culture today. It was just in ancient times. So when we apply this, we have to think of our own setting, which really isn't that much different than when he wrote it to the people way back then. So this is what Paul says starting out in verse 10. He says, when Timothy comes, see that you put him at ease among you, for he is doing the work of the Lord as I am. So let no one despise him, help him on his way in peace, that he may return to me, for I am expecting him with the brothers. So he says this because Timothy was so young. This is a note. You are not too young. I don't care how old you are or how young you are. You are not too young to be respected. You're not too young to be respected. Timothy, when he was out ministering, he was a teenager. And so Paul is telling all the older men, respect this man. Respect this man. See, what older men like to do is every man likes to kind of tease the generation that came after them because they're not as smart, as good as their generation. I mean, we know that's true with Gen X and millennials. We know that. Totally kidding. But they're not like us. They don't know as much as us. And it was the same back then. So Paul's saying, men, Timothy's young, but respect him because he's one of us. He's a man. Verse 12, now concerning our brother Apollos, I strongly urged him to visit you with the other brothers, but it was not at all his will to come. Now he will come when he has the opportunity, so apparently he changed his mind. He was going to go back to him later on. And Apollos was a companion to Paul's who changed his mind about traveling to Corinth. He didn't want to go until he did. Just a side note, men, you can change your mind sometimes. It's okay. Verse 13, this is the crux of what we're going to talk about, and I'll swing back to it after we're done with the passage. Be watchful, stand firm in the faith, act like men, be strong, that all you do be done in love. This is where the 5 marks of the man are found, and we'll come back to it. Verse 15, now we urge you, brothers, you know that the household of Stephanas were the first converts in Achaia, and that they have devoted themselves to the service of the saints. Be subject to such as these and to every fellow worker and laborer. I rejoice at the coming of Stephanas and Fortunatus and Achilles, because they have made up for your absence. For they refreshed my spirit as well as yours. Give recognition to such people. So Paul's saying these guys, when they showed up, they were game changers. See, that's what real men do. They show up. They fulfill their commitments. They take responsibility. They take action when action needs to be done. Now back to verse 13 and 14. Be watchful. Stand firm in the faith. Act like men. Be strong. Let all that you have done be done in love. Earlier in Corinthians, Paul talks about, hey, there's a time when you boys, you need to act like men. You need to think different. You need to act different. You need to man up. In fact, if you're married, maybe you read this verse at your wedding. I read this verse at my wedding. Actually, not this verse. I read the verses prior to this verse. In 1 Corinthians 13, it says, love is patient. Love is kind. It does not boast. It does not envy. It is not proud. But these 3 remain: faith, hope, and love. And everyone goes, that's so sweet. And I agree. But I didn't read this part. In this part, it says this in 13, verse 11. And he's speaking here specifically to growing up. When I was a child, I talked like a child. This is Paul writing this. I thought like a child. I reasoned like a child. When I became a man, I put the ways of childhood behind me. In order to become a real man, you need to put away your childish ways. And we have a lot of 30 and 40 and 50 and 60-year-old boys thinking they're men when they act like children. And we have a lot of kids who are 10, 12, 14 who think that they're men, but they have no idea what it means to be a man. So we're going to straighten that out. Be watchful, stand firm in the faith, act like men, be strong, let all you do be done in love. The first mark of a man is to be watchful. To be watchful. It means to pay attention, to be watchful. And we can break this down and really say that real men need to have a vision of what can be. In other words, look ahead. See, boys think short-term, men think long-term. Boys think what's happening in the immediate. Men think, how does this affect me and my family and other people for the long term? There's a huge difference in just our thinking. If you give a little kid $5, chances are they're going to run to the store and spend all of it right away. But a man, you give a man $50 and he should think, do I need to spend this now, or is there something I should be looking forward to? Should I be thinking about my retirement one day? Should I be thinking about what my children need or my spouse needs? Again, if you're single, this does pertain to you because I'm talking about some characteristics of what it means to be a man. So think just forward. Get a vision for your life. One of the things that I desire more than anything else when I'm old, I desire my kids to want to come and see me. That means that I need to live a life of integrity now. It means that I need to be forward thinking now. I need to have a good relationship with my wife now so that years from now, that my kids will still want to be around me and that my grandkids will want to be around me. That's forward thinking. See, boys think short term. Boys think, ooh, look at that, a shiny new boat. I'm going to go buy it. Let me go buy this new boat. And then we bought a boat, so now we can't afford clothes for our kids to go to school. Or we can't afford shoes for our children. See, boys always think about themselves. Men think long term. They think about their family. They think about how the decisions they make today affect other people. Boys are interested in pornography and sex and things like that. Men think, how will this affect my family for years to come? We have an epidemic now where men are addicted to pornography. And I'm saying if you have a vision, you will want to respect your spouse enough to not want to do that, to say, I want to respect my wife and I want to respect my children, have them respect me. Therefore, I'm going to say no to boyish fantasies and be a man and look toward the long term. I'm going to look ahead. I'm going to live my life with integrity and honesty. See, boys chase fantasies. Men pursue vision. So if you're a man, pursue a vision. Get a vision in your head and follow that vision. Real men seek to honor God for the long haul. Real men run from temptation. It's not weakness to run from temptation. It's wise. Avoid it. If you're young, be watchful. You don't have to follow the culture. In school, there's so much pressure to do what everybody does, to wear what everybody does, to think like everybody does, to say what everybody does. But you can't do that. You need to be watchful. And you need to say, what does God have in store for me? And the amazing thing nowadays in our culture is we've stopped teaching on things like history and English and foreign languages, and now we're teaching them all of these cultural things that are really so short term. It doesn't help people for the long term. You think long term. You get a vision for where you want to go and you head in that direction. I don't care if you're in first or second grade. You work to develop the character inside that you need to have that represents what it means to be a man. Second, stand firm. The second mark of a man, stand firm. You need to ask yourself, where's the culture headed and am I okay with that? Am I okay with that? Because the culture is always going somewhere. You have to say, where do I want to go? Standing firm is hard. Because we live in a culture that we deal with so much stupid stuff nowadays. I mean, there's no shortage of village idiots around this world. And half of them are looking for a new job. Like, don't entertain village idiots. Get a vision, stand firm, know the truth. I travel a lot, and when I travel, I love looking at all the billboards, and the airplanes, the hallways and everything, just because airports are really like this epicenter of modern culture. And I always have to laugh, because they're always trying to sell you stuff at airports. You'll be walking down the hall, and there'll be some guy in like a flannel shirt. He's got his Gucci or whatever, some fancy sunglasses on, got his belt and his nice boots tucked in, and be looking out like, I'm thinking, he's trying to look like a man. But that dope doesn't even know how to start a chainsaw. Like, he's not a man. Like, what kind of man is so focused on his outward clothes, like that he has to, wear, like, real men are not super concerned about how perfect their eyeglasses are and their shirts and their pants and having on $1,000 jeans and these fancy boots. And we we call them posers. They're fakes. You go and you see all these people walking through these really fancy stores buying fancy clothes to look like a man. See, they're focused on what's on the outside. God doesn't care what you wear. He's concerned about the character and the kindness in your heart. Real men are concerned about what God thinks about their heart. They don't care what kind of clothes they wear. I'm not saying you should look like a dope all the time. I'm saying wear decent clothes, but you don't have to impress anyone with your outer apparel. You want to impress someone? Impress them with your character. Be a person who's worthy of receiving respect and honor. Be a person of integrity. Stand firm in the truth. Don't try to model your life after what these boys are doing, because we have all these boys that think that they can look like a man and that makes them a man, and that's the opposite of what makes them a man. When you try to look like a man, you're really acting like a boy. Be a man. Act like a man. Stand firm. Men love adventure. It's okay to love adventure. It's okay to love to shoot guns and hunt and want to hike in the wilderness. It's okay to fish. Like, it's okay to, and it's, you can have all kinds of hobbies you want, but men, so many men have given up on adventure in their life. They've settled for mediocrity. And I'm telling you, men, you were created to seek adventure in your life. You need to seek it. Real men know how to change a tire. Just an added bonus to you. Be a man and not a boy. Stand out for the right reasons. If you're a man, you climb mountains to see the world. Don't climb a mountain so the world can see you. Third mark of a man is to act like a man. Boys are lone wolves. Men run in packs. Years ago, the Army had a recruiting slogan that said, be an army of one. It's like, that sounds so cool, doesn't it? Be an army of one. You know, if you're an army of one, you're an idiot because you're going to get shot. No army marches out by itself like, da-da-da-da, dead. Like, no. You're in an army, you march out with other people. You go as a team. In the military, there's a saying that we have, it's called, I got your six. It means that I have your back. So I'm watching what's behind you because you can't see your back. I got your six. I'm watching what's behind you because you can't see it. When you see people that enter into a building in a hostile situation, there'll be 3 or 4 of them. You got your hand on their shoulder. You're watching what's going on, and you know the guy behind you. He's watching what's going on behind you. See, real men pack up. It's strong to be in a pack, but if you're isolated, you are much weaker. There was one thing that's been harder for me than anything else in life. It was to adjust. When I got out of the military, I lost my pack. Anyone here been serving in the military? Anyone? Okay, a few hands. You know what it's like when you get out of the military to miss the brotherhood. You miss it. You miss it terribly. Remember when I got out, all of a sudden I realized I was alone. Like, I didn't have my brothers to protect me. I didn't have my brothers to talk to debrief with. I miss that. Now I ride with the combat veterans. I love that because we all joke around together, we laugh together, and we all come from all branches of the service. And first service is kind of fun because we had some guys that were from the Army, and I'm from the Air Force, and they always tease me, oh, you're from the Cheer Force. I'm like, yeah, I'm from the Cheer Force, but I also passed the intelligence test, so I was eligible for the Air Force. So we jazz each other, it's okay. And he didn't get it, just. But, just saying. But we joke, and that's part of the brotherhood. Is you can joke with each other. We still joke with each other. We ride motorcycles together. My combat vets and I, we joke, we laugh a lot. But I tell you what, if there's ever any trouble, I know that they would come to my aid. And here's the truth: I don't even know the veterans who are in this room. I know this: that if I put out an APB for vets, you would show up at my house. I know that because we are brothers and sisters too. But I'm talking to brothers today. We're brothers. I know that you would show up if I needed you, just like I would show up if you needed me. That's just ingrained in my heart. And as Christians, men, we need a pack. We need other people to be with who will support us, men who we can be real with, cry with, laugh with, men who we can hug and go shoulder to shoulder with. Every man needs a pack. And if you don't have a pack, you need to get a pack. You can do that. We talk to Pastor Troy or Pastor Zach. We have men's groups that meet all over the place. I'd encourage you just to be a part of a pack. Men, you need it. Women, if you're married to a man without a pack, encourage him, give him some space so he can find a pack, because he will be stronger and better for it. I'm not talking a pack that just goes fishing or golfing. I'm talking about a pack of godly men that get together to talk about godly things to get sharper. That's what we need in this world. So act like men. Paul doesn't say act like a man, he says act like men, because he knows that men need each other to survive. The fourth mark of being a man is to be strong. To be strong. It means that you get up every day with a purpose. That's what it means to be strong. And for men, it means to get up and go to work. You work with a purpose. You're strong, but you go to work with a purpose. So often we have people now, there's generations of people, not making fun of any generations, but there's generations of people now that companies won't hire specific generations because they quit all the time. They work, quit, work, quit, work, quit. And honestly, when I've looked at resumes, and I've done it here because we have employees at our learning center and here, and I have an IMF, if I see a resume where they've served in this place for 8 months, this place for a year, this place for 9 months, this place for 8 months, I know that when they're going to come work here, we're a placeholder. And what it tells me is that person has not found their mark and they don't understand the purpose of work. See, we go to work to glorify God. It's not simply to serve man, it's to glorify God. And in Colossians chapter 3, verse 23, it says this: whatever you do, work heartily as for the Lord and not for men. So when you go to work, you're working for the glory of God. It doesn't matter what your job is. Remember back in the day, they used to call it VOTEC? Anyone remember that? VOTEC. What are you doing, going to college? Nope, going to VOTEC. And I was all right. VOTEC's a good thing. VOTEC's where you learn to be an electrician or a plumber or x-ray tech and things like that. Now they don't call them VOTEC. They call them technical colleges because it sounds better, technical college. But I think there's a deeper spiritual reason why they don't call them VOTEC anymore. Here's why. Because the word vocation is a Latin word that means you're calling from God. That's what VOTEC means. Vocational technical college. So you're calling from God and whatever skill set that you want to learn and then apply. So now when you go to technical college, it's VOTEC, vocation. So what is your vocation? What is your calling from God? Everyone has a call from God. Your call from God could be to be a mother, a stay-at-home managing your household, which is the hardest job in the world, in my opinion. Your vocation, and a father, you can have that calling too. Maybe that's your calling, your vocation. Or your vocation could be to be an electrician or somewhere in the trades or construction work or masonry. But you work for the glory of God. You see, boys work to get money to spend it on the weekend. Men work for the glory of God so they can give to others, speak up for others, provide for their family, and think long term. That's why we go to work. And real men don't quit every 2 weeks because they're not happy with a 4-day work week and that they have to show up at 8 in the morning. Be a man. Get a job. Go to work. That's all I'm saying about that. So, see how this pertains to you women too? Yeah, that's the kind of man that I want to be married to. That's the kind of man that I want to pursue. And this might cause some discussion for you at home. That's okay. Because we're going to get to the last point here. Do everything in love. It's the fifth mark of a man. Do everything in love. Being a man doesn't mean that you treat women poorly. Being a man doesn't mean that you have vulgar language. Being a man doesn't mean that you're a goon or that you're disrespectful. That's not what being a man means. Being a man means you have character. Being man, that you do everything in love. That's what real men do. Real men are loving and real men are protectors. If you are a man, you are responsible to be a protector of your family. I don't care how you grew up, you're responsible for yourself. You be a man, you be responsible for your family. You be the protector of your family. So if you're young, it's something you should aspire to. If you're married, it's something you should aspire to. If you're maybe your kids are out of the home, you can still be loving in everything that you do because real men are loving. They cry, they show emotion, they care, they show empathy. That's not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of wisdom. Do everything in love. And men, the one, I'm going to commission you for those who are married, you take responsibility for your household. Like, you make it a loving, safe place. So whenever your wife or your children or others come, they know it's a safe place because you see yourself as a protector. You're watchful, you're standing firm, you're standing on the word of God. You're going to protect that house and whoever is in it. That is your job as a man. It means that you do everything in love. It means that you pray with your spouse. Oftentimes men don't pray with their spouse. There's women, I've never met a woman that said, I don't really want to pray with my husband, ever. But I've met a lot of men that are like, yeah, I'd pray with my wife, and then they never do. But men, I'm telling you, this is something I started, 10 years ago now, Kathleen and I, we pray together every day. She's at work by 6. Her alarm goes off at 5. Then it goes off again at 5:05, then 5:07, 5:09, 5:15, 5:20. Last time I said, honey, your alarm went off 9 times. I was up on time 1. But so anyways, we had to pray about that, Lord, help her to get up on the first ring. Anyway, but we pray together. So if you're married, pray with your spouse. And if you're a parent, pray with your kids. It's okay to pray with your children. And you start praying with them today. I don't care how old they are, even in high school or college. You pray with them today. I tell you what, if you miss a day, they will call you out. Daddy, you didn't pray with me. My kids did that to me. I'm like, okay, mom and dad need our time. The kids are driving us crazy. Like, go to bed. But you didn't pray with us. And they were right. And I needed to. So you pray with your kids. So you do everything in love. That's what it means to be a man. These are characteristics of men. So I'm going to go over the 5 marks of a man again. Be watchful. Stand firm, act like men, be strong, and do everything in love. Now, at the end here, as I wrap this up, I'm going to have a challenge for men. And I'm going to have someone bring the bucket up. Carmene's bringing the bucket up. Thank you, Carmene. Carmene is our awesome bookkeeper here. Does way more than that. Okay. I don't want to draw the name myself because then it could look like I'm cheating. You want to draw?
Oh, you're going to
Yeah, I'll put you on the spot. Just man up and draw a card.
All right, that's not mine.
Just pick one up.
That's not mine.
Must be present to win. Paul Gedden. Paul, come on up. And so, Paul, you win this axe.
Thanks, John.
So here's the cool thing. I'm going to give that to you. And what most of you don't know is that when I went to college, Paul was the academic admissions, right? What do you call it? Registrar. You were the registrar when I started.
A lot of hats. Yeah, that was the
And the dean, and all these positions. I've known you for 30 years.
Yeah.
And I have known that Paul is a godly man. And I can even say, that's kind of cool, that Paul is preached, and he taught me what it means to, Paul speak to nursing homes forever, and I did that for a long time because of Paul. Paul's a godly man. He's got a godly family. His daughter now works for us, Lisa, and his son-in-law, who's also amazing. And so that was just kudos. I'm glad that you won because you were a godly man and one of my mentors. So that's kind of cool. So, but here, I don't want it just to be for one man today. I thought about just giving you a charge, and I thought, no, there's a bunch of men here that need to be charged because there's one thing, and I know I'm going long here, but there's one ritual. In many cultures in the world, there's a ritual from when a boy becomes a man. There's a ritual. Whether it's the boy gets to go hunting with the men, and all of a sudden that hunt determines that he is a man. Another culture, it's to ride a bull. Once the kid rides a bull, he's considered a man. In another culture, the boy gets a tattoo and he's recognized as a man. When my son was 14, we took him out to a restaurant with 2 people that he said, these are 2 guys I want to be like. The 4 of us went out and these men spoke into Josh's life, and from that day forward, we recognized him as a man. And there's many of us here who never have been recognized as a man and called out to be a man. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new right, and you create your own right in your own family. I suggest, fathers, that you do this with your kids, boys or girls. Recognize them as a woman, but again, it's Father's Day, so you recognize them as a man, whatever whatever right you establish it and do it. And from that day forward, recognize your son as a man, whatever age that is. But here's what I'm gonna do. Everyone stand up, and I'm gonna give you the opportunity. For men, I don't care how old you are, how young you are, if you wanna take the man charge, I want you to walk up front and stand up front and stand in the aisles. If you wanna take this charge to be a man, I'm gonna give it. Paul's gonna say it, but I invite all men to come up. If you wanna receive a charge as a man, you walk up front. There's something about getting out of your chair and moving. It's the first step to making a commitment that says, I wanna stand up and make a man commitment. And it's a little awkward, and that's all right, because men are comfortable in the awkwardness. All right, so you get as close as you can, men, all right? And if you're not coming up to make the vow, you can go ahead and sit down. So if you're not coming up, you just sit down. And all of the women and others who've made the vow, you're not part of this vow, that's okay. But here, I want you to make this vow. So here, we're gonna say this together, it's gonna be on the screens. Paul, you gotta turn and say this with me as well, all right? So this is, I'm recognizing you as a man, and from this day forward saying that you are a man and you're gonna act like a man. We're gonna read this together. I am a man. I will be watchful. Read it together, guys. Together. You have one job. I will be watchful and have a vision for my life. I will look for the long-term win. I will stand firm, basing my life on the Word of God. I will stand up to stupidity. I will act like a man and have a pack of men to be manly with. I will be strong, working for the glory of God and to provide for others. I will do everything in love because that is what Jesus calls me to do every day. I will protect my family and put God first. This is my commitment to those who know me and to those who will. I am a man of God and proud of it. I'm going to pray for you. All right, God, I pray that you'll bless these men as they've taken a man charge. Help us to act like men every day of our life for your glory and your glory alone. Amen. All right, guys.